Hi everyone. Don't you love those commercials about finding your ancestors and long-lost relatives? Some simply put their family tree into a computer and hopefully it links to somebody else's and presto, you have a relative. Others use DNA through a simple cheek swab. And voila, instantly, your genetic makeup is analyzed and you learn more about your past than you ever thought possible. As Torah Jews, we know where we come from. Sometimes, we just want to know where we stopped along the way. Here, a bit of personal history can make a difference. Take my family, for instance. Recently, we discovered a direct link to Rav Menachem Mendel of Kutsk, the Kutzker Rebbe on my mother's side. His incredibly inspirational wisdom offered in short comments to his Hasidim has fascinated me for years. Finding him in the family blood has only endeared me to him even more. Well, the Kutzker approaches this week's Parsha with his famed brilliance. He notes the Battle of Midian and the victory that the Jewish soldiers had over their enemy. Immediately after, the victorious soldiers bring their spoils to the camp. Elazar HaKohen gives them a new series of mitzvos as they learn the laws of Hagalas Kalim, or how to kosher all the spoils of war. You know, the pots and the pans, the dishes and the cutlery, all of the utensils. And the Kutzker noted that it was strange that Hashem waited until now to teach the Jewish nation about koshering the spoils of war. After all, didn't the Jews already win a battle against Sichon? Didn't they take the spoils of war from him? What happened to the kosherizing of those utensils? Why koshering here and now? And while on the subject, allow me to ask just one more question. The Torah notes that when Elazar was teaching the people, he addressed them as Anshei Hatzava Haboim La Milchama, that they were the people who were coming back, the soldiers going to the war. Isn't that odd? These soldiers were returning from the war. Why were they referred to as going to it at the same time? Now, I think a word of introduction here might be helpful as we try to get the answer of the Kutzker. The rules of koshering utensils, indeed good chunks of the rules of Isser V'Heter on whole, are based on a simple, single principle called tam ke'ikar, or the fact that the taste inside of a pot is like having the item itself in the pot. And thus, although the offending item might have been removed, there can still be residue, or tam, left inside that can effectively embed itself into the pot and have the same effect on the pot as if the offending item itself was still there. I remember when we were learning Yeridea with our Rebbe, Rav Menachem Genak, the head of the OU at the time, and we asked him where this tam, this taste is, and how do we know when it's gone? And he told us that he once debated the issue with an expert metallurgist, only to realize that the answer was staring him in the face. Read the Torah, he told us. Elazar told the people, Zos Chukas HaTorah. It's not a physical science, it's a Torah one, Chukas HaTorah. And the Kutzker suggests that the same ideas that we apply here in the halachic principles of koshering, that we need to be concerned about tam ke'ikar, that even when the item is removed, its influence can still have an effect, would also apply on a homiletic level as well. In other words, even if things look good on the outside, the things underneath the surface can also have an influence. Here, notes the Kutzker, was the difference between the war with Midian and those earlier wars, the ones with Sichon and Og. Remember, the Jews fought Sichon because they were not allowed to pass through his land. The war resulted because the Jews were kept away. The war with Midian was entirely different. It was a war that resulted because the nation had to become too close. They had gotten too close to the Midianites. And, as we noted 2 short weeks ago in Parshas Balak, Vayitzamed Yisrael leBaal Peor, they had become attached to Baal Peor, the local Avodah Zarah in the process. On the one hand, the resulting battle in this week's Parsha was a battle to rid the last vestiges of Midianite power and influence from our nation as a whole. But at the same time, notes the Kutzker, the Battle of Midian represents a battle against hidden dangers, the dangers beneath the surface, inside each and every one of the individuals who had Midianite contact. The infection that was spread can become Ikar if we aren't careful. And thus, while Bnei Yisrael may have defeated the nation of Midian in the physical battle, now as they come home, the fight of the Yetzer against those hidden dangers would now commence. What an unbelievable thought! When we win the battle, we need to be on guard lest we lose the war. When we think we've won, we need to watch out for the enemy who might be within, our very own Yetzer Hara. Now, the Navi Yoel notes that in the future, Hashem will remove the Yetzer Hara, referred to as Tzfoni. He has 7 names, says the Gemara. God will remove the Yetzer Hara from within us. Bes hatzfoni archik me'alechem, and he will send it rachok, far away from us. And the Gemara in Sukkah explains that the Yetzer Hara is given this special name Tzfoni from the word tzafun, or hidden, as he likes to remain hidden inside each and every one of us. Just as we think we're past him, and the war is won, Yetzer Hara will pop out and try to ambush us into sin. And so what then is our antidote? Are we to sit in fear every day of our lives, hesitating to move on because we might have to face a Yetzer Hara challenge? If our answer to that is yes, then we need to reassess just who really won the war with Midian, or in our modern terms, just who really is winning the battle against the Yetzer Hara. No, my dear friends, the answer is not to simply stay inside and hide. Rather, the answer is in the process of Agalas Kalim. Reb Moshe Feinstein Zatzal explains that the laws of koshering is introduced with that very pasuk Rabbi Genak stressed to us, Zos Chukas HaTorah. The message of koshering Kalim is symbolically universal to the entire Torah. For when we sin, we have the opportunity to kosher ourselves through the process of tshuva, just like we do when we kosher Kalim, by cleansing each microscopic and even undetectable irritant from the kli, the utensil we are koshering. Through the tshuva process, we break ourselves down and examine our actions, our words, our thoughts, our beings, scrutinizing each one carefully in order to remove the ill that might exist spiritually there as well. And just as the kli emerges stronger after kosherizing, we too emerge from the tshuva process even stronger as well. And if I may, I'm not one who really believes in providing reasons for why things happen. However, at least internally, I often like to take away messages, even symbolic ones, for personal contemplation. It helps give meaning to experiences and avenues for us to consider for ourselves. It's not lost on me that there is a current period in our lives where an almost undetectable element, a tom if I may, a virus, that we cannot see but certainly have seen the effects of, is a dominating element of our lives at the present time. We've declared war on it, sort of like the war on Midian. We have tried to defeat it, and in our own community, Baruch Hashem, we're seeing some positive signs. However, it's crucial that we continue to be on guard against it. Tam ke'ikar, the reason behind it, as though it was still out there in full force in front of us. Recognizing the reasonable precautions of masking, personal proper social distancing, and proper hand washing are the means to remain vigilant in the fight against this invader. However, my dear friends, it is not lost on me similarly that while we mask and provide a machsom lefi, a cover for our mouths, the closing of one's mouth to lashon hara, as we social distance, we hold ourselves back from sicha betela, from unnecessary conversation, and moshav leitzim, wasteful congregation, and other activities that tend to set us in the wrong company or crowd. These activities help us overcome a different, undetectable infection, that of the insurgents' effects and attempts of Yetzer Hara. There's got to be a connection. Everything is connected. And it's up to each of us to figure out what lessons we need to be on guard and learn from as well. This Erev Shabbos is now the third straight Shabbos Chazak, whose drasha is being given from a social distance. And while 3 times in other instances sets a chazaka or a certain element of permanence, that is only because of the strength that comes from it. Our strength doesn't come from being apart from one another, Our strength comes best from that which we provide to one another. So this evening, this afternoon, as we approach the Shabbos of Chazak, we offer one another words of bracha. Chazak, chazak. Be strong, we declare to one another. Hang in there, my dear brothers and sisters. Here, hang in there. In parts of the country where the numbers are not so as lucky as ours are right now. Hang in there, chazak, be strong. In Eretz Yisrael, where they've gone back to only allowing 10 people to congregate. Chazak, worldwide, chazak, 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 we declare, as we each continue to face that eternal threat of the Yetzer Hara with that same vigor and steadfastness that we continue to fight the corona. V'nis chazek, and we will all together be strengthened, and knowing that we are indeed fighting on all these fronts, the physical and the spiritual, doing so one heart, one mind, together. V'nis chazek will be strengthened, and we will win. Shabbat Shalom to all.